animal welfare advocate, founder of the Jacqueline Fernandez YOLO Foundation, a passionate advocate for kindness, for fitness. Arvind Krishna, professional basketball player, actor, ambassador for Veganuary India and Veganuary, promoting veganism and animal rights. Kuntal Joysha. Kuntal is the first vegan to summit Mount Everest and has climbed major peaks all over the world, including Mount Lhotse, Mount Manaslu, and Denali. Also a nutrition and fitness coach and named one of India's top 30 fitness influencers. Welcome to all of you, and it's over to you, Paula.
Thank you so much, Sandhya. Welcome everyone. We're very excited that Jacqueline and Kuntal and Arvind are joining us for this panel. And I can't think of three more appropriate people for representing this whole topic. This topic has been very difficult for anybody who is a meat eater and is trying to transition towards a vegan or a vegetarian diet. Leaving meat is not easy. It comes with its own baggage. But to be honest, it's quite easy also, right? Because if you have clarity on what to do next, how to maintain your fitness goals, how to be healthy, how to be fit without meat, without dairy, living a plant-based life, then it's pretty easy. So I'm so excited to have all of you here with me. Jacqueline, let's start with you. What does your fitness regime include, and what is the biggest change in your fitness routine after leaving meat?
Hello.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for having me here today. This is a very important conference, honestly, for me even to be at, and also to have such amazing panelists here. Thank you for joining us on the stage, and thank you for having me. So you asked me about my fitness regime. Well, I have been an actor for at least 15, 16 years right now. So I used to follow a very different fitness regime before. I think before it was more about aesthetics. When I used to work out and I used to choose my diet and I used to choose what I wanted to eat, it was more about, is this gonna make me look better? It was always about, is it gonna make me look better? Is it gonna make me look thinner? Will it make me look more beautiful? It was always about aesthetics. And I think now when I approach my fitness regime, it's more about, is there balance in my life now? Do I have mental clarity? And that was actually something that came along when I decided to go meatless 3 years ago. And I have to say the journey was not easy. It was very easy for me to transition into meatless. Transitioning into vegan was a little bit more challenging, I would say. But like you said, it's not impossible. It could definitely happen. And it really does. What I feel was the biggest achievement, or probably the best success out of it, was that it did give me a lot of mental clarity. It gave me a lot of peace. And it's not about aesthetic anymore. It's about being holistic and having a holistic approach to my lifestyle, which I feel it has given me. So, yeah.
Amazing. We have a picture of you, of your fitness routine. Can we also
my fitness routine?
Yeah.
It must be complicated.
A fit picture of you.
Yeah. I actually have, yoga has been a part of my life. Who was our host just now? She just told me I used to go to the same yoga classes as you. So that was something that I have been doing for a very, very long time. Again, I feel that we used to approach fitness and we used to approach our diets more about how it would make us look. And I would have so many people coming up to me and be like, hey, how do you have those toned arms? Or tell us about how do you achieve those calf muscles? And it was always, or how are you so skinny? A lot of times I used to get that as well. And that was the ideal at one point in my life for me. I would say that is not the way it is anymore. And really now it is about having a very overall approach. So yoga definitely fits very, very well into anyone looking to go into a holistic approach towards fitness. I would definitely recommend yoga.
Yeah, fitness is mental fitness, mental clarity as well. Mind,
It targets everything. It targets your flexibility, your strength, your mental clarity, which I think it needs to be well-rounded when you're approaching it.
I love that. Our perception of fitness is so limited, but it's time that we expand that. Could you tell us what brought about this change for you?
So, I think, well, a couple of years ago, I was gravitating and wanting to learn more about spirituality and go deeper into it. So, I started studying about Paramhansa Yogananda and Babaji, and I started going deeply into meditation and looking at the benefits that it would give us, and also his teachings about how we need to be one with nature, and we need to have a lot of mental clarity if we want to live a good life. And it was 3 years ago that I checked myself into their ashram, which was in Mud Island, and it was a very, very tumultuous time for me. So it was New Year's. It was going to be New Year's of 2022, and I wanted to just get some peace. My mother had unfortunately just had a stroke, and I was not able to be with her. So I decided that I really wanted to utilize this time and be at one with myself and send her a lot of energy. And the thing was, I woke up on the 1st of Jan, 2022, and I said, I'm never ever going to touch meat again.
Wow.
Yeah. And I don't want to contribute to any more suffering, and I want to, just change the way my life is right now. And that just happened for me.
So you were just introspecting and this happened? Yeah.
It was after a few days of meditation and at the ashram, and it was probably just the day before I was like, I'm going to do this, and can I do this? No, I'm going to do this. And then I woke up on the 1st, and I've never looked back. I've never touched meat again after that, and it's been like 3 years.
That is commendable, especially if you have such a hectic life, you're trying to make this change proactively. Were you a heavy meat eater before this?
So I was raised a non-vegetarian. So my dad is a Sri Lankan, my mom's a Malaysian. There was meat at every single meal. So if it was our breakfast, if it was our lunch, if it was our dinner, it was just part of our staple diet, and we didn't know how to be without it. But the strange thing was, from a young age, I would sometimes look at beef and I would never be drawn to it, or I would never really want to eat it. So that was something I actually never even looked at as a kid. And then as I got older and I was in college, I started reading about veganism and, I want to try this right now. And, but again, that was more about, apparently it's really healthy for you. This is a really good way to live. And now it is more about just reducing the amount of cruelty that that we actually do put onto the world, and just trying to find a cleaner, more pure way of living. It has become more about that right now.
Yeah, you're also an animal lover, and I have so much respect for the work you do with, rescue dogs and with your foundation. So everybody, can we have a big round of applause for Jacqueline Foundation?
Thank you.
Alright, so is the Indian diet bad? I mean the traditional Indian diet, dal, roti, sabzi, for your health?
I actually believe that the Indian diet is one of the healthiest diets you can be on. I think that there are a lot of misconceptions, and people confuse possibly like your quantity control, the amount of carbs you're packing onto your plate, the oil that you're using. Are you using good oils? Are you using bad oils? This whole attitude of chalte hai, kha lo, kuch nahi. I mean, it's fine. It's nothing's gonna happen. We tend to, I think, approach sometimes food that way. And the Indian diet has a numerous amount of superfoods that even the West now are adopting. But it's a part of our diet and part of our food that we've been eating for generations. Turmeric has become such a big deal in the West. Moringa has become such a big deal in the West. Even amla, which is such a basic fruit over here, has huge amounts of vitamin C. And these are parts of our everyday diet. So I really believe if you approach it the right way, it could be the best diet and the best meal you could ever have.
Amazing. Do you think that celebrity diets is something which most people should follow, or?
Well, look, everybody is different, every body type is different, every person's lifestyle is different, so I don't believe that you should be following specific celebrities' diets. What they're saying is according to their lifestyle and their body type. But if people do want to follow a certain celebrity, I would say follow them for maybe the dedication that they have towards their fitness, or the discipline, or the consistency that they have towards their fitness.
Because each body type is totally different.
It's completely different. Even when a lot of people, they come up to me and they ask me about my diet. I get this a lot about my diet, my fitness, what do I do? What am I working, like what workout am I doing? And first of all, I have a job requirement, which requires me sometimes to rehearse 8 hours a day for a song, or there's an action sequence coming up. So it is very different, and my body will look a certain way because of that. So I do tell them to either first consult a nutritionist, consult a doctor. If you can work out with a trainer, ask them what they believe is best according for their body types. I think when you try to reach an ideal of somebody else's body, it can be very unnerving, it can be frustrating because you may not be able to ever really get there. But everyone can be consistent, everyone can be disciplined, everyone can achieve that goal. So I would say go for that.
Now, I bet everybody in the room is wondering and curious about what is your secret to fitness, what is your diet like?
Don't copy me though. I'm joking. I mean, of course I love giving fitness tips, and I've been doing this for so long. I entered the world of modeling when I was like 11 years old, and I've been doing TV hostings from that time. I was in Miss Sri Lanka, I moved into movies, I've done like songs where I need to aesthetically always look very good and very fit. So right now, of course, my approach is much balanced. A lot of people, when they see what I'm eating, they're like, how are you eating so much? They're very shocked. No, I mean, and I'm like, it's really, really simple. You just have to balance it out, and you really have to listen to your body. I love you're like, what are you eating? I get that, but so, I mean, for me, it is, I usually have about 2 meals a day. If I'm having 3 meals a day, the last meal would be very, very basic and very, very light. My breakfast is around like 10 o'clock because even though I wake up early, I'm an early riser, I wake up at around 6. I do like to start my mornings with a lot of hydration. I take sodium bicarbonate in the morning, which helps me alkalize everything. And my mornings are more about meditation and yoga and breathing. And then I go into having a breakfast because by that time I'm starving. But again, it is a very balanced meal. I usually would have either a chia seed pudding, which has my coconut milk and chias, which are great seeds, great for protein, or I'll have something which I actually stole this recipe from a fellow vegan actor, and he has this really cool breakfast recipe which is tofu scramble and avocado and sprouts, moong dal. And it's very, very filling, and it energizes you, and it's the great, proportion-wise, it's the great food pairing. So it doesn't give you a slump, it doesn't leave you lethargic. And I have a green juice every single day because, again, I'm fueling for the rest of the day, and that has a lot of nutrients and minerals and vitamins. And I do have a rice and curry every single day. When I can, of course, that's home-cooked food for me. But I will have my rice, and I will have a tofu curry, or I've just discovered, I don't know if you guys know about lion's mane. It's this amazing mushroom. Oh, you take it every day? So, see, look at us. we're ready, we're up there, we're prepared.
This is a very fit panel.
Yeah, I just actually discovered lion's mane. It's available here, you can get it, and it works really nice in curries. It's actually a mushroom, but you don't feel like you're eating a mushroom curry because that sounds a bit weird. But it's the consistency is amazing, and you can pair it up with different vegetables. Have it with I always have rice every single day. And I've learned now also before especially with like if you're having dal rice, because that's my go-to comfort food, dal rice aloo, which people are like, how are you eating dal rice aloo? Like, there is such a misconception, but actually it's not like that. Of course, as a food pairing, it may be too many carbs, but you can actually help that and eliminate maybe the glucose spike by having a few vegetables or a green salad right before. So that really balances
So
out
rice
everything.
in itself is not really, bad for you?
I don't see anything wrong with rice. Of course, I have to advocate for portion control. I have to advocate for when maybe you're also having it. I also have to advocate for the balance that you're having in terms of your lifestyle. Are you active? Are you not active? I've grown up with rice and curry since I was a kid. And like we had portions like this. I remember my dad's rice portion used to be like over flooding his plate. But so I still have it. It's something that I really enjoy eating, and I really feel it fuels the body well. It's good complex carbs, and if paired with the right foods, I think can be very nutritious, and I think can be very, very good for optimum health. So, and yeah, and I finish that off with a tomato soup at night. I make sure I always have that, and if I've skipped my lunch, then I'll just have that same big meal for dinner. So it's very basic, it's very simple, actually.
Yeah.
I hope so.
No, this was amazing and actually very insightful. Thank you so much for these tips. I know you've asked people not to follow what your diet is, but I'm sure people will have a lot of takeaways.
Yeah, I think just about food pairing, that could be something that they could be more conscious about, what they're pairing their foods with. And of course, making sure that you are targeting your proteins, your different food groups, and you're having a variety on your plate. I think that's important.
Thank you. So my next question is for Arvind. Arvind, as a professional athlete and an actor, you need to be at the peak of your physical health at all times, right? And you just did a movie where you had to transform your body completely. And you've been vegan for so many years. Crazy. You must have had a pretty intense routine though. But what was the biggest change in your fitness routine from when you started to now that you're a vegan?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, really happy to be a part of this lovely panel with Jacqueline, Kuntal, and Alak. And let's hear it for Jacqueline for coming and really lending her lovely voice for our cause. Being an athlete and an actor is very challenging at the same time because while physically and aesthetically I have to fit a particular appeal, I have to be able to perform on the court. So now I've arrived at a place where I am eating and training to be aesthetically strong, but physically I'm able to perform on the court. Now, I'll give you an example. My previous film, I played a cop on screen. I was 92 kgs. In a matter of few weeks, I started my superhero film, which is going to come out in Hindi soon as well. I had to be at 80 kgs. Now, as an actor, we're working 12, 14, 16 hours a day. I have to have a lot of energy throughout the day. But I used to have 3,300 calories when I was 92 kgs. Now, I'm 80, I have only 1,830. So now, how did I arrive at that? So I'll give you the breakdown. I take 229 grams of carbs, I take 92 grams of protein, and I take 61 grams of fat. A lot of people are like, oh, that's it, you're only taking 92 grams of protein, how are you sustaining? A lot of people forget when you are on a vegan diet, our food automatically is very thermic, which means we are expending a lot of energy digesting it. And this is a point that a lot of people miss out. And that is why a vegan diet really helps people stay leaner. Despite having a good source of carb in your diet, you stay leaner. And I tried cutting down on the carbs, and I fell flat on my face on the board. Like, people were just burning me by. And even on the movie sets, I couldn't sustain the energy. And recently, I just finished a fight scene where I shot for 19 hours straight. Being the superhero that I was, I had to fight 12 different goons. And during the lunch break, they were all like, sir, you know, you should have chicken, you should have mutton. I don't know why you're having all this ghas poos. And at the end of the shooting shift, they all came to me and said, sir, hats off, how did you manage? I said, just try a vegan diet, maybe you can manage. So that was a big win for me. And I heard from the fight master that in the next shoot, they were asking the production, please give us what Arvind sir is having, give us some plant-based things. And they're like, shh, don't tell anybody. Yeah.
So a lot of people might wonder, how does your vegan diet help you in a quicker recovery during stunts or, you know, after workouts?
Oh, absolutely, because scientifically, as our august panels before us have spoken here, it reduces your inflammation, thereby giving you the ability to recover faster and lift more periodically, which directly has a proportion increase in your muscle mass.
Wait, how does that happen? Is it because dairy causes inflammation, or is it
Exactly. Naturally,
vegan but also healthy foods?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
because a lot of the fruits and vegetables are anti-inflammatory. So immediately, again, you're going into recovery, quick recovery, just by basically eating the diet.
exactly. Like, for instance, a lot of people have cherries, tart cherries, immediately after working out because it reduces DOMS, the delayed onset of muscle fatigue and soreness, but also it helps with the antioxidant injection into your body, which helps with, reducing soreness and increasing the nitric oxide in your body, which is great for blood flow, which is helping shuttling nutrients into your muscles. So it's a cyclical thing.
Arvind, what are the essential nutrients that one mustn't ever forget when they, go on a vegan diet? I mean, do we need any supplements, or
Yes.
do you think that one can easily do this without supplements, or is it different for people?
I think it's like Jacqueline rightly pointed out, everybody has a different journey, everybody has a different end result they're aspiring for. For the kind of goals that we have and we change very quickly, like the roles or like the games that I have to play, I rely on certain amount of supplements. For instance, vitamin D is a very, very important supplement for me. Vitamin C is a very, very important supplement for me because of the joints, because of antioxidants. I take a lot of creatine in a day because a lot of vegans tend to be deficient in creatine. Creatine, obviously, the International Society of Sports and Nutrition has published the maximum number of articles on creatine. I don't need to elucidate further. Creatine helps me lift better. Creatine helps me stay more hydrated. And the latest research says that creatine helps with cognition. So when Jacqueline said mental focus and I'm more aligned, creatine helps me do that as well. And I also take another supplement which we all know branched chain amino acids, right? What are the 3 branched chain amino acids? Very good, 10 points for you.
Even I didn't know that, by the way.
So branched chain amino acids are very, very important because one of them is called leucine, which is very, very important for muscle protein synthesis. It helps activate the mTOR pathway. So I take a supplement called HMB, which is beta-hydroxy beta-methyl butyrate, which if you take 3 grams of it is equivalent to 60 grams of leucine, which is equivalent to 600 grams of protein. That is humanly impossible to take. But this pill I take, which is called HMB, the second most researched supplement on the International Society of Sports and Nutrition. And it helps because when I'm in a caloric deficit, I can take this and ensure my muscles are not starving, my muscles are in a state of anabolism.
I'm sure a lot of people in the audience are wondering, are there any side effects to these supplements?
There are no side effects. These are all natural supplements because ultimately these are all just there are metabolites of amino acids. So they really help. And now a lot of people who have had accidents or who've been hurt are now being given HMB by doctors so they don't lose muscle when they're hurt. And a lot of older people are now, patients are being given HMB now. So their muscle doesn't waste because there are certain people who have conditions where their muscles waste. So HMB is now being given to them. So why doesn't that translate into athletes? It does. And I do it. I recently had a really bad knee injury. And a lot of people are like, wow, you didn't lose a lot of muscle mass. It's because I had the right supplements. Again, don't take it because I said it. I'm not an Instagram influencer. Don't sue me later. Please talk to your nutritionist and your doctor.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you from my anecdotal evidence what works. But I'm also telling you there's a lot of innovation and engineering that is going into supplementation, and these are all vegan supplements.
Yeah.
Which I think is amazing because I know a lot of you are innovators. So I wanted to touch upon this point to say, hey, innovate and give us even better supplements so we can do even better.
Yeah,
And I love it that you mentioned lion's mane. So because she said it, I wanted to touch upon this as well. I take another supplement called Peak O2. So it is 6 different types of mushrooms, of which a lion's mane is one of them. The other ones is cordyceps. So cordyceps has 2 types, cordyceps militaris and sinensis. So that when you take it, it really helps your endurance levels. So again, it's just mushrooms. So if mushrooms can do that, imagine what all our ancient Indian products can do. And I say products because I pay 3,000 rupees a month customs duty to import Shilajit from abroad, which is found in Himalayas. Same with ashwagandha. And I feel really bad. Like I'm like, these are our ancient products. Why are companies from the West patenting them and selling it back to us at premium prices? I literally bleed money paying customs duty, and I feel bad.
Yeah.
And exactly. So I'm like, all of this is there in our culture. So why can't we value it and not treat it as, oh, this is just purane zamane ke log hain? No, they did these things for a reason, and that's why our ancestors were so healthy.
Well, thank you, Arvind, for these amazing insights. I want to reiterate what Arvind said. None of this is doctor's advice, and especially if you have any pre-existing condition, please consult your doctor and your physician first, and take inspiration from their fitness goals. I know I am. Coming back to Kuntal, coming now to Kuntal. Kuntal, you're the world's first vegan mountaineer, and you have been vegan before this for a long time. How long did it take you to prepare for your first vegan journey, trip to Everest? And how was your health at that time?
Right, so I've been a vegan for nearly 22 years now, and I went vegan in 2002, but then I discovered my Everest dream in 2010, and when I announced it to the world, and one of the reasons why I announced it to the world was because I wanted some accountability. I'm like, अगर मैं नहीं करूँगा 6 महीने में तो at least ये लोग आके मुझे याद कराएंगे. Until you said that you are going to climb Everest. So I announced it to the world, but there was a quick pushback from the mountaineering community that you can't do this as a vegan. One of the nutritionists that was working with an agency that I wanted to climb the mountain with, they got back to me saying, you will have to eat beef jerky, you will have to eat cheese cubes, you will have to eat spam. Like, please go look up on internet what spam means. Like, I don't know who eats spam, but anyway. So they said that you have to eat these kind of things, and you will have to eat eggs, you will have to wear leather, you will have to wear wool, you will have to wear feather jackets, and many of these things that will happen on your journey to Everest, you won't be able to do it. No vegan has ever done it. So I'm like, I'm going to climb as a vegan, or I'm not going to do it at all. Let's just start off with a proof of concept. So what I did was, I ended up deciding that in July of 2011, I would climb my first 20,000 feet mountain. In Ladakh, it's a very, compared to what I've climbed, it's a relatively smaller mountain. It's called Stoke Kangri. It's been shut down for the last 5 years. I'm not going to get into those stories. But I decided I'll climb that mountain as a vegan, and let's see how it goes, with all the vegan gear and all the vegan food. So I went on the journey, I summited the mountain, I came down, and honestly, if I have to make a list of 100 challenges that I faced on that mountain, vegan diet would not even be 101st challenge on that list, okay? So it was very clear that vegan diet is not the hindrance. I really want to, since I remember this, I also want to correct Mr. Aditya Thackeray. He came here last night. I was really appreciate that. He gave a speech where he said that it's so appreciable that you are following this tough lifestyle. Okay, I've been a vegan for 22 years. Tough is not the word I would use, okay? I just wanted to kind of say that out. Anyway, so, sorry?
It's tough for him, but
So, honestly, I didn't have like roti, sabzi, dal, rice, paratha, upma, poha. Some of these things were my food on the expedition. And as an endurance athlete, carbs are my driver of performance. Okay, so yes, I need to eat optimum amounts of protein and I need to include healthy fats in my diet. But truly speaking, carbs were going to drive the performance. And when you're on the mountain, it's not necessary to be overly healthy as such. So like if I ate a little bit of maida and some of those things, it was okay.
But how were you on your fitness levels? Were you obese or were you already lean and fit?
So-
Because I know you had a massive body transformation.
Right. Right. So in 2009, I was 110 kilos when I climbed my first ever very small, like a one-day trek in my life, when I fell in love with the mountains. Going on to October 2010, where I went to Everest Base Camp, saw Everest, fell in love with Everest, and decided I'm going to climb Everest. That journey, perhaps I went from 110 to maybe 95. But once I decided that I would climb Everest, I went on a journey of significant transformation. But again, I'm not looking at body or how much weight I was losing, but what was my performance on the mountain, especially in that 20,000 feet peak, the first one I did. I was climbing with an agency where everyone was a non-vegan on the team. Now, I'm not going to boast about myself, but I considered myself that I was like in the top 3 people on that climb for sure, while eating vegan food. So I was like, okay, this is not like, something I'm like at the back, like, walking like a, something like, "Arey chal raha hai, mar raha hu, main gir raha hu," ऐसे that was not happening. I was really good. I, got to the top. I was feeling very strong. Came back down, feeling very strong. So I feel overall, I thought, this is it. If I can climb a 20,000 feet mountain, then it is just going to be a journey to build enough fitness and build enough experience, skill and training so that I can go and climb Everest eventually.
So weight is not so much of your concern, endurance is.
I mean, weight is a concern, right?
So much of a concern.
Because you have to be aerodynamically efficient also when you are on the mountain. Plus, you are also.
What do you do on the mountains, Kuntal?
Plus, also, I'm carrying myself, right? So, if I'm 95 kgs opposed to if I'm 75 kgs, then I'm carrying 20 kgs lesser, right? Then I can carry a 20 kg pack and feel like 95 kgs, right? So it matters. I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but it's not as if when I started my mountaineering journey, my goal was that I had to go down to 75 kgs. No, the goal was let's just start eating smartly, let's just start fueling smartly, let's just start training smartly, and then weight loss at that point was more incidental. But my recent journey 5 years ago, as I came into the world of strength training and resistance training, with a goal that when I'm 44 right now, my goal at when I am 50 is to stand on a natural bodybuilding stage, compete. I'm not saying I want to win or anything, but compete. And ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि क्या poop physique है. Like no one should say that. Like people should feel like अरे solid physique, good, great. And then come down the mountain and go and climb perhaps a mountain like Everest again. So to show to the people that I can be a strength athlete and at the same time I can continue retaining my endurance and doing all of this while staying vegan.
It's just so inspiring to see your journey because Kuntal did it twice. He climbed Mount Everest twice, right? Can you quickly tell us about that as well?
So I already shared a little bit of story in the awards night
That's
last
why I
night.
repeated it.
But I'm not going to repeat that. But in 2016, I went and I climbed Everest for the first time, and unfortunately, I was wearing a feather jacket on the top, and I wanted to come back and I wanted to climb Everest again because I wanted to do it without wearing a feather jacket. But also something that was told to me on social media after 2016 is someone came and commented on my post and said, "Kuntal, you climbed Everest from the Nepal side, it was the easier side." Now Nepal, you climb Everest from anywhere, it's hard, but that's the fun of social media. I took it a little bit personally.
Are we saying you're climbing it twice?
So I thought I'll go back and climb it from the harder side, the colder side, the windier side, the harsher side, harder from every aspect. So I decided when I was going to go for the second time, because I finally built the vegan jacket. I thought I'll go from the Chinese side, which is on the north side, and north face typically tends to be windier and colder. Consequently, there's very less ice on the mountain, and consequently, it's very rocky and very technical. So I thought it's hard from every angle. Let's just go and do it from here. Now they can't come on social media and tell me you did it from the easier side. Right? They don't like, they can't say तू vegan था इसके लिए easy side से गया. Like ये तो मुझे चाहिए ही नहीं. You know, I don't want any of this stuff. So I went and I climbed Everest again in 2019. May 23rd, I stood on top of the world. 5:20 in the morning. I had the vegan flag. I know you know that vegan flag. I had the vegan. This is a different flag. This is me on top of Alaska, Denali in Alaska. This is me. So yeah. So that's the journey of climbing Everest twice.
Wow.